Hello everyone, it's great to be back here on YouTube. It's been a while since I've been on here. Lots gone on over the last year, so let's go ahead and jump right into this. Got a lot going on over the last year. Now, fast forward a year into Joe Biden's presidency, and he ran on being Captain Moderate. He was going to be moderate. He was going to unite the left and the right. He wasn't gonna, talk about Republicans this and Democrats that. We're all Americans. That was the vision, and that was the idea we were given by Joe Biden, that he was going to unite us all. But needless to say, a year into his presidency, he's done the exact opposite. If anything, I say people are united pretty universally that he's done a pretty lousy job so far. Inflation's out of control. Gas prices have skyrocketed, and people will say, "Well, that's not necessarily him. That's just capitalism in action." Well, when you cut off supply, like the Keystone XL pipeline, when you cut off supply here in the U.S. for our oil, where are we going to get it? We're going to have to get it from overseas. We're going to have to get it from other countries. So when you start importing oil from other countries, naturally the prices are going to go up, especially for something that is in high demand like that. Well, we had energy independence. We didn't have to rely on other countries to send us our oil. We didn't have to rely on Russia. We didn't have to rely on these companies. We didn't have to, like OPEC. We didn't have to rely on that because we had our own oil being made here. It was being refined here in the U.S. So obviously, that hasn't helped at all. I paid $52 to fill my tank the other day. This time last year, I was paying about $30 to $35. So it just gives you a perspective of just how much things have ballooned. Our southern border is in shambles right now. We have hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people crossing our border illegally, getting in here without going through the proper ports of entry. Our foreign relations have become an embarrassment. You look at what happened in Afghanistan, the way we left American citizens behind. It was nothing more than a political move. There was no real strategy involved with it. And Joe Biden kept saying Trump, 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 Trump. Well, Joe Biden said repeatedly before the election, I'm not going to point fingers at anyone. I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm going to take responsibility for my actions. Well, it seems like whenever there's something that doesn't go right, all of a sudden it's Trump, 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 Trump. Joe Biden didn't even follow Donald Trump's plan. Trump had a plan and a strategy in place that there was not going to be chaos. Like, the Taliban was going to work with the Afghan government. And they were going to work with him. And if there was any... And if he sniffed chaos, if he sniffed disorder as we withdrew, we were going to leave troops there. That was Trump's plan. Joe Biden just withdrew everybody. He just said, okay, we're getting out, we're yanking everyone out, I'm going to end the war. His focus was on, how can I be the guy that just ends the war? So let's leave hundreds, potentially thousands of American citizens behind. We still don't know exactly how many Americans are there. Let's leave thousands of green card holders and people that have helped us in Afghanistan for decades now. Let's just leave them behind, because in the end, from an optics standpoint, Joe Biden wanted to be known as the man who ended the war. And it's devastating. It's sad. It's very disheartening when you see that we left our people behind in Afghanistan. We don't leave Americans behind, but that's what we did. So fast forward to the elections that are going on, or went on. Fast forward to the Virginia election. And you think about Democrats having a majority in the House, a slight majority, and a 50-50 tiebreaker in the Senate. Virginia, in many ways, was the indicator of where people believe we are in the country. And Glenn Youngkin, the Republican candidate, was the winner of the governor's race. And it's It's incredible that we're to see in such a short time a state in Virginia. Virginia voted a 10-point advantage for Joe Biden in the election, the 2020 election. It was a 10-point advantage for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. For the Democrats to lose the state of Virginia in less than a year after Joe Biden is sworn into office is a colossal failure. So how did we get here? If you're the Democrats, how did the Democrats get to this point? Well, radicalism. If the Democrats had just focused on being moderate, like they said they were going to be moderate, and focused on being unifying figures like they said they wanted to be, then they wouldn't have gone out of their way to continue to push the defund the police narrative and pushing this debate we're having now with CRT, where they're going out of their way now to label parents as domestic terrorists and white supremacists and bigots. The dumbest political strategies I've ever seen in my life. Like, ever seen from a political party. Defund the police, and parents are racist, and they're bigots. Those are two of the dumbest political strategies I have ever seen. And you want to wonder why there's backlash? You want to wonder why a historically blue state all of a sudden votes for a Republican governor? It wasn't racist dog whistling. It was progressive and leftist insanity. That's what got us to this point. You can talk about Trump this, Trump that, and all this other Trump stuff. And frankly, I don't know why they're even doing this, talking about Donald Trump all the time. Because to me, all they're really doing is just making Trump's case. They're not hurting Trump at this point. How are they hurting Trump? The more people think about Trump, the more they think about 2017, 2018, 2019, even 2020. When you compare those 4 years of his presidency to this first year of Joe Biden's presidency, I can't think of a single thing Joe Biden has done to make this country better. Not one. Not a single thing. I cannot think of one thing. The economy's worse. The border is in shambles. Our foreign relations have taken a nosedive. You see the government just flat out telling parents, you don't get in line with what we're saying, we're gonna label you as racist. We see the continue to just push stupidity on steroids. It's propaganda. Like 90% of the media we're seeing now is just propaganda. Seeing some of these Washington Post and CNN articles, it's ridiculous how these articles are not listed as op-eds. Most of them are op-eds. They're not journalism. I have no problem with op-eds. Op-eds are cool. You can have an op-ed, but list it as an opinion and don't try to list it as journalism. And when you see the media have an utter meltdown after Youngkin won, just a complete and utter meltdown, MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, they just see a just utter meltdown. And you want to wonder why suburban women who have historically voted Democrat, you want to wonder why these women are infuriated? When they keep hearing that they're racist? When they keep hearing that they're bigots because they don't want their children being taught that they're racist simply because of their skin color? And of course, once again, the left, you would think the left will learn from this. Nope, but they're just doubling down, they're doubling down, they're doubling down. This is why I say, for the Republicans, this needs to be the Republican message. Family. Family. The Democratic Party is pushing to becoming the anti-family party. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it. You saw it. With the BLM movement. BLM. The only time BLM ever talked about black men and black families was when a black man got killed by a white police officer or some random white guy that nobody knew until that situation happened or whatever. That's the only time BLM ever talked about black men. When black men pushed the agenda, black men were important. But of course, if you visited their website last year and you saw what their agenda was, it was very clear what it was. It was Marxism. BLM is a Marxist organization. It is rooted in Marxism. You can't have strong, independent families in Marxism. It defeats the very idea of Marxism. So, when you see the Democratic Party moving toward this hard left perspective and all these radical ideas, they could, just pushing abortion over and over and over again and just calling it women's rights, and pushing transgenderism on children, telling parents that they're concerned that they're racist, that they're white supremacists, and that they're bigots. You're seeing more and more what the Democratic Party is becoming. It has become the anti-family party. If Republicans are smart, they will run on that. They will run on, we are the party of family. We're the party of family growth and family independence. We want your children to have school choice. We don't want these teachers' unions continuing to run your life. We don't want the government telling you where you can and can't send your kids. We want a thriving economy where there's low taxation, where we don't have all this red tape for you to open a small business. We're the party of family, we're the party of growth, we're the party of prosperity. If the Republicans have that message and they continue that message, freedom, family, prosperity, capitalism, if the Republicans push that narrative and continue to hold on, if they take a page out of Glenn Youngkin's playbook here, it will be a wipeout in 2022. You will see states voting red that have not voted red in decades. This needs to be the Republican strategy. This needs to be the strategy for conservatives. Family, family, family. Freedom. If this narrative, and if these principles, not just narrative, but these principles are pushed over the next year, we will start to take our country back. We'll get our country back. We'll stop seeing all this crazy inflation that we're seeing because Americans have had it. Americans already are fed up with this progressive leftist nonsense that we're seeing. All in the name of so-called progress. We can do this, but how do we do it? Just the common man, how do we do this? Well, I'm reminded of what a friend of mine says consistently. Educate. Don't hate. Educate people. Just have basic conversations. I think sometimes what ends up happening is people get really caught up in this idea that, I have to prove someone wrong. I have to show them why they're wrong. I have to show them why their policies stink. We're at a point right now where we don't really have to do that. We don't have to go out of our way to show bad policy. People can see bad policy. People can see the results of bad policy now. What do? Engage in basic conversation with people. Common sense conversation. People say, man, gas prices are crazy. Just say, yeah, man, I don't understand why. I don't understand why the president shut off the Keystone XL pipeline. It's not practical to me. I don't understand why you would do something like that. Why would we lose our energy independence while we're still bringing in barrels of oil from overseas? Just doesn't make any sense to me. And what did you do? You just gave the facts. You just gave the facts. We lost our energy independence with a stroke of a pen. No one understands why, but many people don't know that that's what happened. Explain to them what happened. Just tell them. Tell people what happened. Don't be condescending. Don't be a jerk. Don't go, oh, I see that Biden-Harris sticker on your SUV. Wow, you made a mistake. Don't do that stuff. Many people already realize they made a mistake. They already realize they made a mistake. Many people regret their vote. But instead of getting them to dig their heels in, win people. Win people with kindness and win people with facts. If we do those things, I'm telling you, we will have a resounding victory in 2022. But that's the end of my video. It's been a while since I've been on here. It feels so good to be back. There'll be a lot more content coming, more consistent content. But I thank you all for watching. If you like what you heard, go ahead, click that like button, click the subscribe button, and I look forward to doing more videos in the future. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great day. Bye.